Today, I'm going to lay out in front of you the way you can start your journey. Like I've been saying, I'm going to detail this in as much detail as possible. But before I do this, I'm going to be doing a live or a podcast. I'm going to start doing podcasts. I've said this before, but I'm really going to start doing it. It's not going to be on anything other than spirituality, psychedelics, uh, psychology, stuff like that. But I'm also the first guest I'm going to have on here is going to be one of my friends I've known since I've known him for at least 6, 7 years at this point. I feel like I could be off by a year or two, or it could be longer than that, but I know for sure it's been around 5, 6 years. So we're going to talk about a few different things on that podcast, or that live, whatever you want to call it. We're going to talk about spirituality, religion. We're going to be talking about his music. He does music. He's got a pretty, from what I understand, he's got a pretty big following overseas. And we're also going to talk about his experience in a cult. The guy was in a cult, and we're going to talk about his experience with that. But that's going to be later this week. I think we planned on doing it Friday, so keep up. I'll try to keep you updated, or just watch for the video, of course. So now I'm going to lay this out in front of you, how you can start taking the steps on your own journey, how you can experience the things I've experienced. Now I'm going to give you my little rundown, my story of what I did, and then I'm going to tell you other ways that you can do it other than following my footsteps, even though I can only verify my footsteps, if that makes any sense. So what I did to experience this, and what I did to start this path and this journey, was it started out with just wanting to, let's go all the way back, because if I say it just started out with me wanting to better myself, that would be kind of a white lie, because that was not how it originally started out. That's what it turned into, but that's not how it started out. So I ate about 4 to 5 grams of mushrooms. I believe they were either golden teachers or penis envy. I'm not entirely certain, because that was during a time where I was getting quite a bit of psilocybin, so it was differing different ones. But those are the two I'm pretty sure it was. Either I believe it was golden teachers, to be exact. So I ate these, and it was like the weirdest thing ever happened. I felt like I was dying, like literally dying. My body became freezing cold. Started, I tripped on mushrooms several times and never had this before, but felt like my body was extremely cold, and my body has got cold on shrooms before, but not like this. Like I seriously thought I was dying. And time was going by like time didn't exist. And I thought an hour, that's not entirely true, because time did exist, but it didn't exist in the way that I knew it as. Like it would feel like an hour or two went by, but in all actuality, it was only like 10 or 20 minutes. And I remember going down into my basement, and I was packing a bowl, and it was like my spirit left my body, and it was standing directly across from me, and it was telling me, not in a bad way or a negative way, just like, hey, you manipulate people, you lie a lot, you pretty much take advantage of things and don't have any feeling or compassion or empathy for anyone that's not inside your circle, and even those people you don't treat that well. And it was like, what? It kind of blew my mind, but I didn't feel like, I don't know how to explain this. I didn't feel like afraid, or I didn't feel like beat down or beat up. It was like it was telling me, hey, you're doing this. It's okay. You can fix it. You need to fix it. So I started that path. And then about 2 months later, um, I was at we'll just make the long story short and be precise with these words. Anyway, an event happened, and you guys don't need to follow this, because this was something completely that I screwed up on. But the next day after this happened, um, it was like something inside me like flipped again. It was like that voice that was there telling me you need to be a better person was back, and it was saying, all right, cut the shit, let's go for real. So from that day going forward, I tried and I succeeded in bettering myself. I tried and succeeded in doing everything I should do. So I started eating healthy. Started eating, it was fruits, vegetables, and lean meat. Started drinking nothing but water. I got out in nature. I was out in nature all day. Well, not all day, but I was out in nature for hours of the day, every day. Um, I was doing yoga. I was meditating, and I found an inner peace that I never found before. It was like I had this abundance of energy, this abundance of love for everything and everyone. And I just wanted to not only better myself, but I wanted to help better other people. And that went on for a few months. And I took some LSD. I took a pretty high, pretty high dose of LSD. I believe I took at least 500 micrograms. I'm not entirely certain, but if I had to guess, it would have been 500 micrograms because I've can just off past experiences. And that's when I went to the void. But it was weird. It was like there was a voice inside my head talking to me. And I know this is going to sound, it is what it is, but the voice inside my head, it was obviously my voice, but it was like telling me, do this, go, if you want to find out the truth, take this, and if you think you can handle it and you're ready for it. And I'm not exaggerating this either. It was pretty much that word for word. So I took 2 tabs of LSD. Like I said, it was probably about 500 micrograms in total. And I went out for a walk, and then I went back home. And once I got back home, it started hitting me before I got back home. But once I actually got back home, it was like it hit me. And I was sitting on my couch. This was the day that changed my life forever. I'll never forget it. I was sitting on my couch. It's a different couch than this. But I was sitting on the couch, and all of a sudden, everything vanished. Literally everything vanished. I did not have a body. I did not have a form. I was not Blake. If you know my last name, you know it. I was not Blake from Kingsport, Tennessee, on planet Earth in the United States of America. I mean, it was none of this. It was just me, but I wasn't me. And I was in this black, empty void. And everything, I could see how everything was connected within it. And it was an amazing, beautiful thing. And then all of a sudden, I don't know how long exactly it was because time literally ceased to exist during this. And I'm not exaggerating this, or like I was earlier with the mushrooms when I was like, well, it felt like 2 hours, but it was like 2 minutes. No. I mean, if I had to guess, I would say it was about 20 to 30 minutes just based on things that I went back and could pull up, like from my history on my phone or what I was doing. It was probably between 15 to 20, maybe 25 minutes. But it felt like, I don't even know how to explain what it felt like. It could have been thousands of years. I mean, it was just time didn't exist. And then that bright white light happened, and I went outside, and it was like everything was creating itself. Like I said, cars were on roller coaster tracks. People were being led around by puppet strings. It was wild, man. And I had this overwhelming feeling of love. I'm talking about love so deep that, I mean, I just sat back, and I remember thinking before this happened, there was a spot on my rug, and I just remember thinking, I really got to get that cleaned up. It looks ugly. And after this happened, that spot was fucking beautiful. Not only was the spot beautiful, but everything was beautiful. I had this deep amount of love for everything and everything. I mean, just everything. I loved everything. I still do. But I mean, there for, I would say about 4 to 5 days after this happened, that's probably the most blissful I have ever been in my entire life. I don't know if you can get much more bliss than that, because it was, I mean, something I'll never forget. And it's something I would highly suggest you guys go towards. But now here's the downside of this, and the downswing of this is, after this happened, I did not know anything about spirituality before this happened. I didn't know anything about an awakening. I didn't know anything about enlightenment. And after this happened, after the little honeymoon phase was over, I felt like I was going mad. Like I said, I questioned if anything was real or not. I just questioned everything. and it was not a good place. I went to a dark fucking place. I went to a dark place mentally, and it was just bad. Put it like that. And it lasted for. It wasn't consistently all the time, but it lasted on and off from September until January. So about 4.5 months. Later found out it was called Dark Night of the Soul, and it's pretty regular, I guess, when this happens. But do not let me say this to deter you from doing this, because after that's over, your life will change for the better in so many ways, in so many positive ways, in so many amazing ways. And you start seeing signs in everything. You start seeing symbols in everything. You start seeing, it's kind of like you have someone with you that's showing you the way to do what needs to be done and to help you succeed. The only thing is, you have to be willing to make some sacrifices. You have to be willing to cut out things that you know aren't good for you. You need to cut out people that you know are not good to be around, because unfortunately I found out during this, you can't help everybody. You can help everyone, and you can, but it needs to be able to click with them, and they need to start realizing some of the shit they're doing themselves. So not everyone wants to help, but you can help everyone. Just realize that. But you cannot help them if they're not willing to get help. And I feel like everyone will come to a place to where they need to get help. And that's my goal, guys. That's my overall goal here, is to unite us together as one. That's the only way we can do this. It's the only way this can happen. And when I say we need to unite as one, that means you need to drop the ego completely. That means you need to stop thinking you're right all the time. That means you need to stop with the dogmatic BS, holding one belief as truth no matter what. Because even I, at this point, I'm still open-minded, and I still try to take all perspectives in, because everything has a kernel of truth in it. And I would rather be right in the end, as opposed to thinking I'm right and realizing I'm wrong in the end. So that's where we're at. But my goal is to, like I said, I'm not just me. There's other great people out here that can help, but we need to unite as one, because we are one. We're literally the same thing. We're consciousness experiencing ourselves. Just think about how much better the world could be. Everybody wants to talk about how they want the world to be better, and all these things are wrong with it. Well, what could be better than realizing you're God? What could be better than not only realizing you're God, but realizing everyone else around you is the same thing you are? You're all God. You're all consciousness experiencing yourself. And we need to stop the hate. We need to stop the fear. We just need to stop the bullshit. And the only way to do this is through love. Love everything. Love everyone like they're you. Treat everyone the way you want to be treated. Realize the kingdom of God is within you. Heaven's here, right now, because there's no other place you can be than right here, right now. Realize that. So to clarify this at the end, because I'm going to end this, how you start the journey is, in my experience, psychedelics, getting out in nature, yoga, meditation, and eating right, and wanting to be a better person. Actually wanting to be a better person and trying to be a better person. And that's how you can start this journey, and that's how you can experience that. Now, there has been other things that I've heard that will help you realize this, but I would not recommend going down this path. Near-death experiences. People that literally was trying to commit suicide. And, I mean, people that get lost in the desert for however many days and nights. Essentially suffering, but you don't want to go that route. Now, I can name several other ways here. I mean, but those are the main ones, and especially those routes I'm talking about at the end. You don't want to go down those routes. You don't want to have a near-death experience. You don't want to get some terminal illness and then wake up to the fact you're God. You don't want to physically die, even though you can't die. And I'm going to make a video explaining why you can't die. This body will die. I mean, that's just a given. But you're not dying. So, yeah. Sorry this was a little bit longer than I anticipated it being, but start the journey today. Don't make any excuses. Quit putting blame on other people. Realize everything that you've done or have done or will do is by your own hand. And realize that if you think it, you believe it, and you speak it, that's how reality gets created. So, talk to you guys later.